I'm with Brit Marling at the Yarrow, and there's a screening of Another Earth underway downstairs, and I saw it yesterday. Tell me about your background. You didn't start out as an actress.
I started out in the complete opposite. I studied economics at Georgetown, and like most good Georgetown students, ended up my junior summer at working at an investment bank, and I think what happened is I had this experience where I'd been making short films at school, and then I had this experience where Mike directed Another Earth, Saul directed Sound of My Voice. They came up to New York, and I had a particularly heinous week. I was the sole analyst on two companies that had IPOs at the same time. So I was like underwater with work, like taking a car home at 3 in the morning, showering, getting back in the car, coming back, and I was doing this for like 2 weeks straight. And then Mike and Saul come to town, and they're like, the 40-hour film festival's happening in New York, let's do it. And I was like, are you kidding me? I haven't slept for 3 weeks, there's no way, forget it. And they showed up at my uncle's apartment where I was staying, and they're like, we're gonna make this film, here's the topic, we've got 48 hours, let's do it. And I was like, okay. So we write this little short and do this film and stay up for 2 days straight. And something about that juxtaposition,
It clicked because you have more fun.
yeah, it unlocked something. I suddenly saw that in banking it was like I could measure out my life in coffee spoons. I knew exactly where I was going to be in 2 years and 3 years and 5 years. I knew exactly what kind of money I was going to make, what life it would be like, and it all felt. I wasn't passionate about mergers and acquisitions. I wasn't passionate about it. And I saw that some of my colleagues were, and I thought I just don't belong here. And I'm going to be a workaholic no matter what. I might as well be a workaholic doing something that I love.
Oh,
yeah.
that's great. So you were willing to walk away from money, though.
Yes.
And did you have a little bit saved up? Were you able to sort of sock it away?
No, I mean, no,
Not really.
not really. No, and that is really hard, actually. That was really hard to do, because I think, and also your
How
parents.
did your parents feel? Yeah.
Yeah, your parents really, out of nothing more than love, they want you to
Be secure.
be secure, and that was really challenging. But the place that I had arrived at was that no poverty would be as unbearable as waking up in a life at 30 or 40 or 50 that wasn't mine, that I had accidentally lived.
But what I like about this idea is that you happen to decide to become part of, creating films at a time when the barriers for entry are not so high.
Yeah.
And you guys were able to put something together without huge amounts of money being required. And you did 2 films, and 2 films got into Sundance. Now, did you act in that 40-hour thing? So that you enjoyed that a lot.
I loved that. And then Zal was graduating from the AFI, and I acted in his thesis film. And it was really that experience because I loved that story, and I loved the experience of working on it very seriously. And after that, it was just like, this is it. And because I had already lived my fallback plan, there was no fallback plan. It was it's going to be this, or it's going to be this. And so then it just became a question of, okay, how can I act in the way that I would like to do it? How can I?
Did you have any training?
No, I mean, I had done plays and things in high school, but no formal training. And then I actually, when I came out to LA, I met this wonderful man, Harry Master George, and I studied with him. And he's amazing because this is what he told me the first day that I walked into class. This is going to sound sort of heady and intellectual, but it's not really. He quoted Aristotle's On Poetics, and he said, this is all you need to know about acting. The actor who merely assumes the characteristics can never move anyone as much as the actor who is genuinely moved. So your job is just to get yourself into a space where you strip all this analytical stuff out and develop your innocence and your imagination and your vulnerability to be this vessel for stories that come through you and move you more deeply than they move anybody else. That's your job description. And I thought to myself, this is amazing, to attempt to do this for a living. So.
But you are also using your intellect to write these screenplays. And what struck me about Another Earth was that what you did worked you had a very straightforward relationship drama that had a sort of quirky sci-fi component to it, but you did it in a very straightforward, austere, simple way, which is of course required for something of such a low budget. But you figured out a way to do this, and how much calculation? I mean, how much did you guys figure this out? How did you figure out the script?
You know, what happened? We came up with the epic macro part of the story first, the sort of science fiction element, and then we worked backwards. And the idea was how, given this sort of like sci-fi premise, what human drama could we tell that would emotionally unlock the most about this epic idea? I can't really...
The epic idea being that there's a parallel, if you like, to Earth.
Yeah.
Where all the people on this Earth are on that Earth.
Yeah.
And there's this idea that maybe a Richard Branson type of character would send a ship up to the other Earth.
You
right?
tell it better than I do. Yeah, it's that. And I think what we started with was the idea of, what if you met yourself? Like, what would you feel, if this was you talking to you, or me talking to me? Like, what would that conversation be like? We have that in our minds all day long, this, like, interpersonal dialogue that goes, but what if you could externalize it? Like, what if I could sit down and have a conversation with myself? And then the thought became, to whom would that mean the most? Who needs to see themselves the most? Like, what kind of person needs to encounter themselves the most? And that's where Rhoda's story came from, as somebody who is bright and ambitious, and then her life just, overnight becomes drastically different. And how does she recover from that? And I guess that's where it came from.
And then how did you end up casting opposite yourself William Mapother, who many people remember maybe from Lost?
Yeah, it was in the bedroom. Mike and I saw it in the bedroom, and his performance in that movie, it's like, he haunts me. I was terrified by him in that work. And we loved the idea of casting somebody with that kind of gravitas and energy, somebody who could scare you, would scare Rhoda, and then to see his journey into a more, like, romantic figure.
It works.